Thanks for joining us on this journey through greatness today. If you want to dive deeper into the stories we shared, we've got you covered. Head over to the show notes where you'll find links to all our main sources and more info on today's topic. Keep exploring and keep celebrating the greatest ever.
Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. This time we're going to be talking about someone who I think pretty much everyone knows, at least by name. Amelia Earhart. We've got a lot to cover, so to do this right, we're going to be drawing from several different sources. We've got excerpts from two books, both by Elgin M. Long and Marie K. Long. The first is called Amelia Earhart, and then the second one, Last Flight. We've also got a collection of some of Amelia Earhart's most powerful words, direct quotes from her. And we're even going to be taking a peek into the children's biography, Who Was Amelia Earhart? So, we're going to go beyond the kind of the typical, the famous flights, the mystery and all that. We're really going to try and dig into, what made Amelia tick and why I think her story is still so important, even, all these years later.
It's interesting you say that because I think a lot of times Amelia Earhart, she's remembered for the mystery. But to really grasp her impact, you got to go back to the beginning, to a time when, honestly, women in aviation were practically unheard of.
Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. I was reading Who Was Amelia Earhart? And it mentions, she was kind of, always the adventurer. And there's a story about her building like a homemade roller coaster as a kid. And of course it ends, not smoothly. Pretty spectacular crash, actually.
Yeah, well, I think that's pretty telling, that story. It wasn't just, a kid having fun, right? I mean, she was already showing that, that comfort with risk, with things maybe not going according to plan. And you need that when you're doing what she ended up doing, right?
Sure.
Pushing those boundaries of flight, especially back then.
Right, exactly. I mean, it definitely wasn't a one-time thing. Like on Last Flight, it talked about how, as a young woman, she had her first real, taste of aviation when a pilot intentionally buzzed her and her sister. I mean, can you imagine? Most people would be terrified, but not Amelia. She was captivated.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be like a seed being planted, because it wasn't just about the thrill of it, it was almost like the realization that, whoa, this is like a whole, vast unexplored world, and she wanted to be part of it.
Exactly. Yeah, she wanted to be part of it. And so let's fast forward a little bit to her early flying experiences. Last Flight tells this kind of a funny story, I thought, about a plane that she bought early on. Apparently, it was so difficult to fly that, simply managing to keep it in the air made her look like she was a pro.
Right. That says a lot about her tenacity, I think. And not even just overcoming those obstacles, but almost turning them into, an advantage. She wasn't,
Right.
handed anything. She really had to fight for every little bit of progress.
No.
Yeah.
And then comes that moment that really puts her on the map, the 1932 solo transatlantic flight. And Last Flight really paints a picture of this. You've got harsh weather, you've got Amelia packing the bare minimum. I mean, we're talking just a toothbrush. And then there's this almost curt farewell from Bert Bolchin, who's, okay, so long, good luck. You can really, when you read it, you can feel the weight of that moment, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. You really got to put yourself back in that time. This is 1932. There's no GPS, limited radio communication. She's navigating by the stars, dead reckoning. The skill involved is honestly mind-blowing. And beyond the technical feat, think about what this did for women in aviation, right? Before Amelia, it was basically unheard of for a woman to even pilot a plane, let alone, attempt something this daring.
I know. It's incredible. And her story, it's not just about breaking those records. It's about challenging what society at the time, thought women were even capable of. And, she didn't stop there. If you look at, Last Flight and Amelia Earhart, there's this string of achievements. I mean, first woman to fly solo across the U.S., first person to fly solo from Hawaii to California, first woman to receive the Distinguished Flying Cross. I mean, it's almost like she was, rewriting the rule book of aviation with every single flight.
Yeah, and her accomplishments, they weren't just personal victories, they were symbolic, right? For women everywhere. There's a part in Last Flight where she writes about her hope for a day when women face no restrictions based on their sex. I mean, she wasn't just aiming for the sky, she was aiming for a future where gender wouldn't limit anyone's potential.
Totally. And what's so cool is she walked the walk too.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about the flying. She actually championed women in aviation and STEM fields.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting, like in Last Flight, it talks about her observations on the role of women in Mexico when she was traveling there, and you get this sense that she's really genuinely interested in their aspirations and their opportunities. And then you've got her work at Purdue University supporting women in STEM. I mean, there's this course mentioned, it's called Household Engineering, which might seem a bit, I don't know, unconventional today. But back then, it was actually a really pragmatic way to empower women with, practical skills in this field that was really male dominated.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you mentioned this pragmatic approach to STEM education. But, some people might say that focusing on household engineering, maybe that reinforced traditional roles instead of, breaking them. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a good point, right? On the one hand, you could see it as kind of limiting. But then on the other hand, maybe this was Amelia's way of meeting women where they were at, giving them tools to succeed within the system as it existed. It's complex, and it really reflects, I think, how difficult it was to truly break those barriers back then.
Right, yeah. I mean, and think about it. All of these accomplishments, they weren't just handed to her. She was constantly pushing against the system that, frankly, didn't want to see a woman succeed in aviation. Like Last Flight kind of hints at some of those challenges.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, looking at this from, our perspective today, what do you think was her greatest hurdle? Was it, the technology of the time or the societal attitudes?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, imagine trying to navigate with the limited tools that they had back then. But at the same time, she's constantly battling this prejudice, this idea that, you can't do this, you're a woman. It's just...
It really is fascinating, isn't it? Because those two things are so intertwined, right? The lack of support, the assumptions, it all fed into how difficult it was to even get the chance to prove herself. I mean, think about her first transatlantic flight. She was initially seen as just a passenger. Can you imagine?
It's unbelievable, right? It's almost like society was trying to put her in this box. And she just kept breaking free.
Exactly. And it wasn't just, those individual perceptions. Like in 1936, as documented in Amelia Earhart, she really came up against some hurdles because of, the lack of cooperation and organization in international civil aviation. And these weren't just logistical issues, right? They were systemic obstacles that really disproportionately affected, women like Amelia who were trying to venture into this uncharted territory.
It's true, yeah. And it's kind of a stark reminder, isn't it, that even with incredible talent and determination, those biases, they create these roadblocks, and they require even more strength and perseverance to overcome.
And Amelia had that in spades. She never let those barriers define her, and instead she almost used them as fuel to propel herself even further.
Yeah, she really did. Which brings us to her 1937 world flight attempt. Talk about, setting the bar high.
Right. And what's interesting here is her motivation goes beyond just the accomplishment itself. Last Flight talks about how she wanted to push the boundaries of human endurance and understand how people react to, those challenges of long distance flying. It wasn't just about, reaching the destination. It was about the journey and what it could teach us about ourselves.
It's so true. And her preparations were they were meticulous.
Yeah.
Last Flight describes her collecting maps and charts, creating these detailed flight plans with handwritten notes, and that carefully orchestrated takeoff with Paul Mance, that team play takeoff. I mean, can you imagine doing all of this without the technology that we just take for granted today?
It's really incredible. And her approach, I mean, it was just so methodical, so thought out. And it reflects, I think, her understanding of how complex this was, how risky. She knew that success wasn't just going to come from, luck. It required that careful planning, that deep respect for what they were doing.
Right. Yeah. And even when she faced setbacks, there's that accident during takeoff from Honolulu, Last Flight really captures her determination to just, try again.
That resilience, that refusal to give up, even when things, went wrong, it's a testament to her character. And it's a quality that I think, still resonates with people today. It inspires us to, keep chasing those dreams, even when things get tough.
Absolutely. And speaking of tough, let's talk about that final leg of the flight, the part that's shrouded in mystery. Amelia Earhart really goes into the challenges of navigating to Howland Island, which was, basically a tiny speck in the vast Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, and it's those little details that really kind of, stand out. Those discrepancies in the reported radio frequencies, the issues with the radio direction finders, which, by the way, were primitive compared to what we have now. I mean, imagine trying to find a tiny island using this, weak signal that's prone to all sorts of interference. And then on top of that, you've got those challenging weather conditions, stronger than expected headwinds, all playing a role in this, mystery.
Yeah, it's true. And the lack of a distress signal, it just adds you know, another layer to this puzzle. It's like the Electra just vanished.
Right. And the search efforts, which are documented in Amelia Earhart, I mean, they were massive, right? They involved the Itasca, the Lexington, but ultimately they didn't find anything conclusive. And so, the theories abound, everything from, landing on water to crashing on land.
Yeah.
And the analysis of the ocean depth, the plane's buoyancy, which Amelia Earhart talks about, it fuels this debate, but the truth is we still don't know for sure.
It's true. And it's a mystery that continues to captivate us, even after all these years.
And I wonder if that's because it speaks to something bigger than just the facts of what happened. Maybe it taps into, our fascination with the unknown. Or maybe, just maybe, it reflects a little bit of Amelia's own spirit, that willingness to venture into uncharted territory, even if the outcome is uncertain.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's incredible to think that even with all the advancements we've made, some mysteries just endure. And they remind us that there are still things out there that we can't fully explain.
And maybe that's okay. Maybe it's a reminder that, the world still holds wonder and intrigue, and that sometimes the questions are just as important as the answers.
Well said. And we'll be back right after this quick break to continue our exploration of Amelia Earhart's incredible life and legacy. Welcome back. We're still deep in the world of Amelia Earhart, this incredible aviator who, wasn't just breaking those flight records, but breaking down barriers for women everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get caught up in, the mystery of her disappearance. But let's not forget the impact she had, once she was here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, her legacy is about so much more than that final flight, right? It's about courage, resilience, that refusal to let societal expectations define her.
Totally. And it's interesting, I was reading through top 25 quotes by Amelia Earhart, and there's this quote that just, it really struck me. She says, in my life, I'd come to realize that when things were going very well indeed, it was just the time to anticipate trouble. And conversely, I learned from pleasant experience that at the most despairing crisis, when all looks sour beyond words, some delightful break was apt to lurk just around the corner. I mean, talk about wisdom.
It really is. It's so true, isn't it? And it speaks to her, pragmatic optimism, I think. Like, she understood that life has those ups and downs, and even when things, look really bleak, there's always a chance for things to take a positive turn. It's a powerful reminder, I think, for all of us, right? To not let that fear paralyze us, but to keep moving forward with that courage and that open mind.
Yeah, it's such a good point. And I also love that she never let the fame go to her head. I mean, there's this anecdote in Last Flight about people naming their children, and even, get this, a duck after her. Like, it's amazing how she became this cultural symbol. But when you read her writing, there's no hint of ego.
And that's the thing, right? Humility, I think, was one of her defining characteristics. She wasn't, driven by fame or fortune. Her passion was for the flying, for the exploration, for pushing those limits of what was possible. And she really recognized that her accomplishments, they weren't just about her. They were about, expanding horizons for everyone, and especially for women.
I think that's what makes her story so enduring.
Yeah.
It's that she wasn't just a skilled pilot. She was a visionary. Like, there's this other quote from Top 25 Quotes by Amelia Earhart that really resonated with me. She says, everyone has oceans to fly if they have the heart to do it. Is it reckless? Maybe. But what do dreams know of boundaries? Like, it's almost like she's giving us permission to dream big, to not be afraid of taking risks.
It's like a call to action, right? An invitation to, break free from those self-imposed limitations and to really chase, those dreams that set our souls on fire. And Amelia's life, I mean, it was a testament to that principle, this constant demonstration that extraordinary things can be accomplished when we, dare to step outside of our comfort zones and pursue our passion.
Yeah, I love that. And, it's not even just about those big, audacious dreams, right? It's about applying that same, courage and determination to everyday life, to those smaller oceans that we all face, whether it's tackling a challenging project at work.
Yeah.
Or speaking up for what we believe in. or just even stepping outside of our comfort zone to try something new.
Absolutely. I mean, Amelia's spirit, it's something that we can all tap into, regardless of our individual, aspirations. It's about that inner fire, that refusal to be limited by fear, doubt.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from Amelia's early days to her groundbreaking achievements, the challenges she faced as a woman in aviation, and of course, the enduring mystery of her disappearance. As we start to kind of wrap up this deep dive, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier, which is her legacy. How do you think she continues to inspire women today?
Well, I think her legacy, it's multifaceted, right? I mean, on one level, she's absolutely a symbol of female empowerment, a reminder that women are capable of achieving anything they set their minds to,
Yeah.
regardless of, societal expectations or limitations. I mean, her story has paved the way for countless women to pursue careers in aviation and STEM fields and to really break down barriers and challenge those traditional gender roles.
And it's not just about those tangible achievements either, right? It's about the mindset, that spirit of adventure, that can-do attitude that she embodied.
Exactly. She teaches us to embrace those challenges, to be fearless in the face of adversity, and to never give up on our dreams, no matter how audacious they may seem. Her story is a testament to the power of perseverance, that unwavering belief that even in the face of setbacks, there's always that glimmer of hope, that chance for a breakthrough.
And it's so inspiring to see how her story continues to resonate with people, particularly I think young women. Even, decades after her disappearance, it's like her legacy transcends generations, right? It's this reminder that the pursuit of dreams, it's a timeless endeavor. It requires that courage, that determination, and a willingness to push those boundaries.
Yeah, and it's important to remember too that her journey wasn't without its struggles. She faced, skepticism, prejudice, countless obstacles along the way. But she never let those challenges define her. And instead she used them as fuel to propel herself even further. And I think that's a really powerful message for all of us, right? Regardless of our gender or background. We all have that potential to achieve greatness, to make a difference, to leave a positive mark on the world.
I completely agree. And that's the beauty of Amelia's story, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about her individual accomplishments. It's about the universal human spirit.
Yeah.
That drive to explore, to discover, to push beyond the limits of what we think is possible. It's a story that will continue to inspire and empower, for generations to come.
And on that note, I think it's interesting to think about, Amelia was known for her meticulous preparation, her deep understanding of the technical aspects of aviation. What do you think she would have thought about all the advancements that we've made in aviation technology today?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's fascinating to think about because, I mean, she was a woman who embraced innovation and pushed the boundaries of technology in her time.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt that she would just be absolutely thrilled, by the advancements that we've made. I mean, the precision of GPS navigation, the sophistication of modern aircraft, the ability to fly around the globe with, relative ease. I mean, these are all things that would have been, unimaginable in her era. But beyond the technology itself, I think what she would be most excited about are the opportunities that it creates, for exploration, for connecting people across vast distances, for expanding our understanding of the world.
Yeah, I totally agree. I can just picture her at the controls of, some modern aircraft, pushing it to its limits, exploring new horizons with that same sense of adventure and wonder that defined her life.
It's true.
And I bet she'd be just as passionate about, using that technology to inspire and empower others, to show them that the sky truly is the limit when it comes to pursuing their dreams.
It's almost like her spirit lives on, in every pilot who takes to the skies, in every engineer who designs a new aircraft, in every dreamer who looks up at the stars and wonders what's out there.
Her legacy is this powerful reminder that the human spirit of exploration and innovation, it's boundless, and that with courage, determination, and that willingness to push beyond our comfort zones, we can all achieve extraordinary things.
Well said. Well said.
Ugh.
And on that note, we'll be right back to wrap up our deep dive into the incredible life and legacy of Amelia Earhart. Welcome back. It's been amazing, hasn't it? Exploring the world of Amelia Earhart. I mean, the daring flights, that relentless spirit of hers, the fight for a place at the table, and a world that honestly wasn't ready for a woman like her. As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious, what stands out to you about her story?
It's hard to pick just one thing, but I think what really gets me is that unwavering belief in herself, even when nobody else did. I mean, think about it. She's chasing her dreams at a time when women were expected to, stay firmly on the ground, both figuratively and indeed literally.
It's true. And she didn't just defy expectations, she shattered them. And by doing that, she opened up this whole world of possibilities for women. It's like she single-handedly redefined what it meant to be a woman in the 20th century.
Yeah, and her influence, it just keeps rippling outward. I mean, today we have, women as astronauts, fighter pilots, engineers, all pushing boundaries in these fields that were once considered, exclusively male. And it's impossible to say exactly how much of that progress we can, directly attribute to Amelia. But there's no doubt that she played a huge role in paving the way.
I love that she never lost sight of the bigger picture. It wasn't just about personal glory or even just breaking records. It was about expanding our understanding of what's possible, both for ourselves and for humanity. There's another quote from Amelia in Top 25 Quotes by Amelia Earhart that I think really captures this. She said, the most effective way to do it is to do it.
Oh, I love that quote. So simple, but so powerful, right? It's a reminder that action is the key to turning those dreams into reality. Amelia didn't just talk about her goals. She went out there and made them happen, even when, it seemed like everything was against her.
Exactly. It's like she's saying, stop overthinking it. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Just take that first step and see where it leads. And that applies to all of us, not just aspiring pilots or astronauts, whether it's, starting a new project, learning a new skill, or even just speaking up for what you believe in. It all starts with taking that first step.
Absolutely. Amelia's story is a reminder that we all have that power, to create our own opportunities, to break free from those limitations, and to make a real difference in the world.
And let's not forget the importance of embracing the unknown, right? I mean, Amelia, she was never afraid to venture into uncharted territory, to push the boundaries of what was considered possible. Even her disappearance, as tragic as it was, it speaks to that spirit of adventure, that willingness to take risks in pursuit of something greater than herself.
It's definitely a bittersweet part of her legacy, but it does add this whole other layer to her story. It reminds us that life is unpredictable, that even the most meticulously planned journeys can take those unexpected turns. But it also, I think, reinforces the importance of living life to the fullest, right? Of pursuing your passions with everything you've got and never letting fear hold you back.
That's a beautiful way to put it, I think. She was a pioneer, an adventurer, and an inspiration to generations of dreamers and doers. Her story continues to remind us that the sky's the limit when it comes to what we can achieve, both, individually and as a society. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought. What oceans are you ready to fly? What dreams are you, maybe holding back on? Take inspiration from Amelia, embrace the unknown, and never, ever stop chasing those goals that light you up inside.
Beautifully said. And remember, the journey itself, it's just as important as the destination. So embrace those challenges, learn from the setbacks, and celebrate those milestones along the way. Your unique path with all its twists and turns, that's what's going to shape you into the extraordinary individual you were meant to be.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible exploration of Amelia Earhart's life and legacy. Until next time, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Hey there, listeners. Are you enjoying our journey through the greatest moments and legendary figures of all time? We hope so, because here at The Greatest Ever, we put our hearts into bringing you the stories of those who have truly left their mark on history. But to keep the stories flowing and bring you more of the legends you love, we need your support. By becoming a subscriber, you'll help us keep making the kind of content you enjoy week after week. So if you love what we're doing and want to see us grow, consider subscribing and supporting us. Just head over to our page and hit that subscribe button. Together, we can keep celebrating the greatest ever. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being part of our journey.